What's up, y'all? One Piece One Life here, and guys, happy Mother's Day is what I would say if this video actually ended up dropping on Mother's Day, which I know it won't. But guys, Mother's Day just passed this weekend, and of course, as I was celebrating my own mother, it made me think a little bit about the mothers in One Piece. See, when we usually think about mothers in One Piece, we usually think about people like Belle or Sora, and trust me, they'll get their own videos eventually too. But there's one character who is so rarely put in the spotlight, despite her actually raising some of the most important characters in the story. Of course, you saw it on the thumbnail, I'm talking about Curly Dadan, reinforcing one of the biggest themes of One Piece, which is actually central to its entire storytelling. So lock in, especially if you don't remember her, because this is going to be you don't know anything about Dadan. So lock in, especially if you don't remember that much, or if you're casual, because this video is going to be why Dadan is the most underrated One Piece mother. But before we get into figuring out whether Dadan is the best mom in One Piece, y'all, do something for me. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content just like this every week, and share it around with all your friends who love this series. You know we always say here, let's get it going. Oh, make sure you subscribe to me and my boys over at CSY. We are about to drop our cipher. It's getting insane. Now, before we can talk about Dadan in terms of her relation to the other characters, who is Curly Dadan? Well, she's a mountain bandit who lives near Fuchsia Village, Luffy's hometown, and she's the leader of her own little group. And actually, while we're here on this real quick, do y'all think that Dadan would have made it far as a pirate? At least far relative to, East Blue standards? I mean, I think that she could have done pretty decently, at least beating out Alvida and Kuro. Her bounty is 7.8 mil, nothing to scoff at. And also, quick question, y'all, is her epithet Curly, or like her name is actually Curly Dadan? Because people call her Dadan, so I'm assuming Curly is her epithet, but that's just something that's always confused me personally. Now, Dadan is a character who is tied to Luffy's past, but timeline-wise, her relation with Luffy is after we meet Shanks, before Luffy sets out on his journey. And as such, we are introduced to her during the post-war arc after Marineford. Now, an important thing to get out the way right now, Dadan was forced by Monkey D. Garp, Luffy's grandfather, to raise at least Ace and Luffy. Sabo came later on his own thing. Now, as for her background with Garp, now I'm not sure if she and Garp had actually met in the past or something, but she is deathly afraid of this man. Probably because she heard about all his exploits, about how, he would go around and beat people up with his fist. Whoa. Big pause. Galaxy pause. But anyways, because she and her bandits committed so many crimes, Garp essentially was able to just blackmail her and say, yo, listen, you got two options. Option A, I beat you up, yes, in both ways, and then round up your whole little gang that you got going on here, shut down your operation, and imprison all of you. Or option B, take care of this kid. And through that blackmail, that's how she got to take care of Ace. And then 10 years later, he would also drop Luffy off with her. And the thing about Dadan is that she seems so rough on the outside, but on the inside, guys, she's really just a big old marshmallow. One thing about Dadan is that you see a large difference between the side that she portrays and she says outwardly versus her true actions and true nature. Personality-wise, she's crude, very tough on the boys, aggressive, and she was initially reluctant to take in the boys. We see her individually annoyed each time a new member was supposed to join her fold. She was, of course, always complaining about them being a burden, and to be fair, they were a lot. Ace was running amok because he was rebelling because it was Ace. And then, of course, Luffy was like, well, I'm gonna be a pirate, and that, of course, caused clashing between them. She was still annoyed at Sabo, but I think that out of the three, Sabo was the most tame one, at least in her eyes. But honestly, imagine raising 3 monkeys. Wait. No. Imagine raising 3 Tasmanian devils under your household. You genuinely might actually die. You have no idea what the state of your house, food supplies, or anything else is gonna look like. Now, Dadan would even sometimes discipline them, and to be fair, compared to what it could have been, her disciplining wasn't that crazy. I mean, what did she have them do? Made them hunt for food, made them clean up their house and hideout, forced them to engage in small crimes like plundering. And look, that does sound bad for bandits. But then you gotta remember that this is being compared to Garp's training regimen for Luffy, which included tying him up with balloons and sending him adrift in the sky and saying, oops, hope you survive, or throwing him in the jungle with dangerous ass animals for months. Again, hope you survive. So I think that in comparison, Dadan was chilling. But the thing about her is that her actions show the truth of how she actually feels. She defended Ace and Luffy from the Pirate Blue Jam despite being very terrified. Cause I don't know if y'all remember this, but Dadan's a coward. One thing that's noted about her character is that she does have somewhat cowardly tendencies and definitely values self-preservation over most other things. But even despite that, she still rushed in and fought off Blue Jam alongside Ace long enough to at least assure that Luffy was safe. And the only reason that she was fighting alongside Ace instead of like letting Ace go was because Ace wanted to, stand up and fight himself. A trait that, as we know, ends up not serving him very well. But of course, this can mostly be seen during her visceral, emotional breakdown at Ace's death. You really feel for her because you see that she's crying. She can't stop herself from doing that. This shows that she clearly cares, even if she doesn't want to say it, which why she doesn't want to say it is, I don't know. The tsundere character type is played out. But regardless, underneath that rough exterior is a really soft and kind-hearted person at heart. Another really important thing about motherhood that Dadan portrays though is the fact that motherhood goes beyond biology. Dadan wasn't related to Ace, Sabo, or Luffy. Dadan didn't even choose this role. Garp forced it onto her, and yet she still fulfilled the roles of a mother. She gave them a home, shelter, and a bed to sleep in. She provided them with food. She dealt with all their chaos, which I'm telling you right now, I'm not doing. She's stronger than me, and she protected them when it mattered most. I mean, you gotta think about her impact on the boys. Ace, literally on his deathbed, was telling Luffy, damn, please tell Dadan that I miss her. Because no matter what it looked like from the outside, when talking to other people, Luffy and Ace still consider her their mom. Dadan had very key interactions with and about each one of the boys that she was, taking care of. For Ace, she was a very key part of Ace's early life because she literally raised Ace from when he was a baby. After Roger told Garp about his kid and made him promise to protect him, Garp, knowing that, being a Marine, he couldn't really protect him, was like, alright, I need you to take care of this baby, please and thank you. Don't worry about the Marines, I'll make sure that they don't know what's going on, but please. And she did. Ace was able to grow up safe, but she also didn't hold the reins back on him too much, which allowed him to grow up in the way that he wanted to. And like I said, besides Luffy, she probably cried the hardest at Ace's death. It really shows how deep she felt for him. And if you haven't in a while, go back and watch those episodes or read that chapters. I mean, she was really going in, beating up Garp and everything, who, reminder, she was deathly afraid of, all because her feelings about Ace superseded that. It was like one of her own sons died. And then that's bolstered by the fact that she was able to sympathize with one of her other sons, because she was the one who was like, no. You guys think that I'm hurting? Think about Luffy. And remember that at the time, nobody even knew that Sabo was still alive. So it really felt like Luffy was alone in the world, and Dadan being like, no, even from here, I'm vouching for you. I'm still with you. That shows a deep love. I know it sounds like I'm going in circles, but y'all, that's what motherhood is. Not that I know, I'm not a mother. But if you ask Luffy himself, he would probably tell you Dadan is the person he considers who raised him. And you gotta remember, Luffy actually didn't like Dadan at all initially, because he hated all mountain bandits due to his past with Higuma the bear. So the fact that she was able to break through that, and then they were able to end up forming a mutual love for each other. I mean, even when Luffy was missing for a week, he came back all torn and tattered. She was worried. She was like, oh my gosh, and she sent him to bed. She healed him and everything. Then for Sabo, she was able to give him a temporary home that accepted him when his real home rejected him. Because remember, the whole reason that Sabo was there was because he was actually a prince, but he didn't like the way that his family was running shit. She was of course very emotional and sad when Sabo died the first time. And then, even more recently during the reverie, we see that she's very distressed at the news that, which at the time we thought was saying, Sabo has just been killed. Since she said, damn it, why it gotta be Sabo when we just got you back? Which, might I just add, was one of the lamest subversions One Piece has ever had. Oh yeah, actually Sabo killed King Cobra. Who actually knows Sabo believes that? Oh yeah, Dragon, that's who. I'm still not over that. He's such a bum. Dragon has nothing to do with this video, and yet I still find a way to insult him. I love it. In fact, no, Dragon actually does have a lot to do with this. Dadan, somebody who isn't related to Luffy, raised him better than Dragon, his literal father. The dad version of One Piece is gonna be very tragic to see. And as I alluded to earlier, Dadan really hammers in one of the most important key central ideas of One Piece, which is found family. In a world where a lot of actual blood relatives are really horrible and nasty to each other, it's the people that you find to be your family, the people that you draw to yourself, who are going to support you. She is a perfect example of how family is about connection, love, and protection, not about bloodlines. I mean, just ask any one of Big Mom's 85 children. And the thing about Dadan is that she's an example of unconventional motherhood. She isn't related to her kids like Ophia. She didn't willingly adopt her kids like Belmare, but no one can say that she doesn't care. Ooh, that rhymed. Wait, I'm actually good at this. But at this stage, you're probably asking, all of this is true and all, and it's really cool, but what makes her underrated? Well, I think it stems from the fact that because she's not a major combatant or major role in the story, people forget about her. She doesn't appear that often, so it's natural for her to slip people's minds. But her impact on the story, and especially on Luffy, is quiet but very strong. We're not shown that many scenes of it relative to the rest of the story, but everything that Luffy does partly is imparted to him by Dadan. See, motherhood means a lot of different things. Patience, sacrifice, protection, things that one would commonly associate with a mother constantly being there to raise her kid. But Dadan reflects mothers who aren't perfect or traditional. Maybe they don't do everything the way that most people, even society, thinks that people should be a mother, but they show up when it matters most. And really, that's what counts, doesn't it? So on this Mother's Day, but not really Mother's Day, I want to celebrate all kinds of mothers, even the unexpected ones. So happy Mother's Day. But y'all, what do you think about Dadan? Anyone else low-key want a spin-off manga of her now? Let me know all you gotta say and more in the comments below. I know that this was a shorter one, y'all, but please, before we go, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it around with all your One Piece lovers. Or even if there's other animes they love, like Naruto or Bleach or whatever, share it to them too. Remember, I'm trying to build a community, and I need your help to do it. That's gonna be all for me. I'll catch you on the next one, and always remember, One Piece, one life. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I'm gonna go call my mom.